H.P. Lovecraft once said that the greatest fear was the fear of the unknown. And of course, he knew what he was talking about, because that is completely true. Hello, this is Ryan Murphy. I produce music under the name Acid Heads, and this is Horror 101, because I also write, and I'm interested in video game design and psychology. A variety of things that all come together to make me quite interested in horror. Plus, I've always had a fondness for the macabre and darker side of entertainment, to varying degrees. Spooky, scary, creepy. I like doing creepy music. I like listening to kind of moody music. And the Dance Macabre by Camille Saint-Saëns is one of my favorite classical pieces. So, horror is an interest of mine, which is why I'm kind of doing this series leading up to Halloween, for entertainment and also the education of those who have not perhaps made as broad and intimate, well, I don't know if I'd use the word intimate, but certainly the interest in the topic that I have had over the years. I've watched lots of different horror movies, my preference, of course, being ghost movies, haunted house movies. I've always enjoyed those the most. Slasher flicks I got tired of. Gore porn, like the Saw movies, I got tired of a long, long time ago. But a good ghost story still has the power to creep me out, which is where most of my focus will be, is on the things, of course, because horror is personal. I can only give you my viewpoint on what a good horror game or movie or book would be. But everything that you can learn about the topic can help you make your games, or write your books, or make your movies down the line, or just purely to entertain you because you're also interested in this subject, and perhaps you're looking for someone who can kind of guide you through it a little bit, like me, who's already been there, done that. So, as you have probably surmised from the opening bit, this video, and of course the title, this video is about the unknown. Because it's really always what we don't know that's going to scare us the most. Only really matched in some degrees, but not entirely, by what we think we know. But it's really what we don't know that is always going to be the greatest source of fear and the greatest well to draw from when it comes to scaring people. Now, the focus of this series is going to be on game design, horror game design, because it's, in some ways, it's just easier to talk about for me. And, movies, it's way too big of a subject. Horror stories in general, way too big of a subject. But horror games, a little bit easier and narrower a topic to tackle, but at the same time covering elements that will help you if you're a writer, or you want to get into doing movies and want to do horror movies, or if you want to do horror game design. You should find things through these videos that will help you with any of those. Or, again, just be entertaining if you're interested in horror as a topic itself. So what is it about the unknown that scares us? Well, it's because we don't understand it. We don't know anything about it. That's why the dark is scary. Intellectually, your mind is, your upper brain, your thinking brain is telling you there's nothing to be afraid of. But you don't know for sure. So there is that feeling that there could be something in the darkness waiting for you. There could be a person that might accost you, a bum that wants money and is willing to hurt you to get it. There could be a monster in there, a wild animal, a rabid dog. You don't know. It's not knowing what's in the darkness lets your mind run away and play. And usually where it goes to is not a nice place to play. It's that potential for anything to be in there, in the darkness. Okay? And it's also where prejudice, racism, sexism, all that stuff tends to come from, is not really understanding. There's things like that. There's also a large element of not caring about other people and things, but there is generally a degree of fear involved, based in lack of knowledge and lack of comprehension and understanding. A lack of empathy for others is what it boils down to, and empathy is at least trying to put yourself in other people's shoes. Strong empathy happens at a subconscious level, but there is elements of that, and that also can come into play in horror, because you prey upon fear. So, Lovecraft, I'll come back to Lovecraft. He was a xenophobe. He did not like outside races. He was kind of a racist. He grew out of that to varying degrees through it in his writing over time. You can tell in his life. Early on he was anti-Semitic, but he ended up marrying a Jewish woman. So he grew as a person because he got out in the world and he learned more. He learned that people of other creeds and races weren't as bad as he thought. But he was still an Anglophile. He loved England and English things. He wished he would have been born pre-revolution, and so he could have been a British subject, or even been born in England, so he could be a British subject. He loved the architecture and the old, that sounds kind of strange, but the old New England cities and the architecture of the past, all that stuff, and he didn't like the new things encroaching upon it. These outsiders coming in and taking away the things that he loved, for the historical things that he loved. And you see that in a lot of his writing. It's all about these outside things coming in and destroying what is all sane and good in the world. Okay? So for him, it wasn't really an unknown. It was something he was afraid of, but it was change is what he was really the most afraid of. Losing all these historical old things that he loved and felt more connected to than anything that he lived with in his own time. So unknown is not, or playing on the unknown is not the be-all, end-all of horror, but it is an excellent place to start, which is why it was the first subject I chose to do for one of these videos. Okay, now how can you apply this to game design? Well, again, it's trying to fuck around with people. Yes, I do cuss, get over it. But trying to fuck with people based entirely on the unknown can be difficult, because we know a lot now as a society. So you have to go back to the primal stuff, like the dark. That's why it's so effective, is because you can't see through it, or in it, effectively. The darkness, fog, dust storms, heavy rain, anything that obscures the player, and like I said, I will be talking about this more in terms of game design than anything else. If you're designing a game, if you can obstruct the ability of the player to see, it will enhance the terror that they will feel, the dread, if you will. Not necessarily terror, but dread, because they don't know what's in there, or what's around them. They can't see it, so they don't know what's there. Okay? And an element of that is suggestion, rather than showing people. And I know that video games as well as movies are visual mediums, but you don't have to show people everything. In fact, the stuff you don't show them will freak them out more than what you show them sometimes. Sometimes it just depends. Okay? To of the things in movies that I will not ever watch again is Poltergeist and The Shining. Okay, in The Shining, it's the horror hag lady in the haunted room, and in Poltergeist, it's the kitchen scene. And if you've watched those movies, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those are two things in movies that I will still leave the room or close my eyes when they're on because I just do not want to watch them again. They fucked with me that badly. Now, in both of those cases, it's things that they show you that messes with me. It's the psychology of it, okay? Like, in The Shining, it's, the contrast between this, at first a beautiful nude woman that he kisses, and then suddenly she's an old, rotting hag, and it's just that flick of the switch, and suddenly it's playing on those emotions. So it's a known that's freaking me out in that case, as well as what they show you in that kitchen scene. It fucks with you on a psychological level from what you're seeing. But a lot of what's really good about Poltergeist that makes it a really great horror movie is what they don't tell you. It's kind of a mistake they make in the second one, the sequel, in that they reveal more. Whereas in the first one, you don't really know what the fuck's going on. You get some hints here and there, and there's the mystery is kind of solved by, what is her name in the movie? Zelda Rubinstein was her real name, I believe. The psychic lady. I can't remember her real name. Or the name in the movie. But she kind of gives some hints and reveals some of the history, and the mystery is solved to a degree. But you never really know exactly what's going on, so there's always that sense of unknown. Okay? Which is important. It's just an underlying current to the movie. Most of what is scary about that movie is things that are shown to you. But what helps all that work is just this sense of not really knowing what the fuck's going on. There's no rhyme or reason to it, apparently. There's this sense that, this place was built on top of a graveyard and they did not move the bodies. Okay, of course that's going to play a part. And, there's other revelations that help bring some understanding, but it's never really enough to satisfy curiosity. So there's always a sense of not really knowing what's happening. Okay, and the same thing in The Shining. It's never, at least in the movie, it's not explained. Okay, Kubrick decided to not explain why the place is haunted, really. It just kind of is. And that kind of, again, it's an undercurrent. A lot of the stuff, most of the stuff in The Shining is visual horror, but there's always that undercurrent of they're not letting you understand what's happening any more than the characters do. You're never brought in on it. So as a viewer, you can have that sense of, I understand what's happening here. You never really do with those movies. And a lot of really good horror movies, Session 9 is a good one, you never really know and understand what the hell is going on. Okay, Michael Myers in the first two Halloween movies. It's not explained why he's killing people. All you really know about him is that he's evil and he wants to kill off anybody who's related to him. Okay, that's all you really know. It's not until the later movies that they try to bring in occultism and witchcraft and demon worship and all that other shit. The first two movies, all you really know is these scant few things that the Doctor kind of reveals from years of studying this mad child into being a madman, but there's never a revelation. There's never understanding brought. And again, a lot of the horror in that movie is visual, but there's this undercurrent of the unknown. Now, in Friday the 13th, and yeah, the original Friday the 13th doesn't have a whole lot of unknown. That one, it's pretty much answered. Why things are happening. The second one, it's not really explained why all of a sudden Jason has come back to life. I don't think it's ever really explained. But again, most people, the first one is really the scarier one. It's just this, you don't really know. Well, it's quite a ways into it before you know why somebody's going on this killing spree. Now, Nightmare on Elm Street, you pretty much get a full resolution to the mystery through the movie, but it's never really explained until late. Again, there's no explanation for how Freddy becomes this king of the dream world and is able to kill kids in their dreams. That's never explained until later in the movies, the sequels. So, a lot of the best horror movies, the classic horror movies, even if they rely a lot on visual terror like Hellraiser, again, there's always going to be an undercurrent where you don't really know what the hell's going on. Like with Hellraiser, the second, or towards the end of that movie, it gets kind of confusing anyway, and really weird. But even though there's revelations about it, the Cenobites and their realm of pleasure-pain is never really explained. They just kind of exist. In the original series, they had nothing to do with the Christian hell concept. They were a completely extra-dimensional construct. That sounds kind of they're just from something else. They're not actually from hell. They're from a different dimension entirely. Okay, and it's never really explained. A lot of the second movie is completely unexplained. It's just bizarre and really weird and unknown. So, the degrees to which you can use the unknown in your games, stories, and whatnot depends on what it's going to be about. If it's a zombie thing, then you're not going to really be able to use the unknown. But again, you can always rely on that undercurrent of not explaining things. That does help add mystery and dread to the events, because if you have a zombie game, but you never explain where the zombies came from, why this is happening, then you always have that undercurrent of the unknown. People want to understand things, and when you deny them understanding, they're afraid. It heightens the fear. Okay? So you can use overt unknown by obstruction of view, and undercurrent unknown by not explaining things. Those are the two ways that you can really utilize the unknown the easiest. There's lots of different ways you can... it's all about holding information back. Not letting them see things, suggesting things to them, and not explaining stuff. Sometimes it gets irritating when you don't explain things. Sometimes it really heightens the fear. There's always a balancing act when it comes to doing horror. So you have to find that happy median between telling them just enough, but not too much. Okay? So that, I think, covers the unknown when it comes to horror. Thank you very much for watching. I'll go ahead and do my end of YouTube video stuff now. Please give me that upvote. It's always appreciated. Leave any questions, comments, or other topics you'd like me to cover. I'm going to do 13 of these leading up to Halloween. But I might... if you have anything else you'd like me to cover that I haven't thought of already, I'll do that after the holiday sometime. So go ahead and leave your questions and requests for additional topics, and I'll get to those when I can. Negative commentary, I prefer you leave it to yourself, because this is supposed to be about learning for everybody. So negativity, I prefer you to just keep it to yourself. And of course, as always, if you try to troll me, I will troll your ass right back, very mercilessly. Try me at your own risk. My traditional warning to the trolls. Subscribe so you know when I upload new videos. I don't always just do this sort of stuff. I do music, as I said, I do my own writing, and I do a variety of things. I have a variety of interests, so subscribe so you know when I upload new stuff, and you can watch the ones you're interested in and ignore the ones you're not, of course. One last time, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.